Hey, well, it's just me solo tonight. Uh, I guess that's the bad news. The good news is that I don't have Jeff's pro account, so the longest this can go is 35 or 40 minutes. So I just wanted to go ahead and do it anyway. I don't know. I didn't want to shortchange the guy who went 6-0 this week. Had the misfortune of going 6-0 in a week that we wouldn't have a podcast. So, but Chad was going to be on, and he had a rock flew off of some farm equipment and broke his canine tooth, and it might have chipped another one too. And he's got a fat lip, and he just didn't think it would be a good idea for him to go tonight. And then Jeff actually wanted to cancel tonight because he's got a colonoscopy tomorrow. I don't know if that's too much information. And I think he probably can't eat or drink after a certain point tonight. So, anyways, I know that's you got to drink some crummy stuff, something like that. I think that's right. So, anyways, I'm just gonna jump right into it, and we'll see how it goes. If it goes really poorly, I just won't ever send it. So that's what we'll do. All right, let's see. I got to be able to share, right? Okay. Yeesh. Okay, here we go. Still just me, right? Okay. All right, here it goes. So we're week 10.5, 10 and a half weeks in. So we're 40% of the way through the season. So if you want to multiply your player stats by 2.5, that's what his end of the year pace is now. All right. So Let's Play went 6-0. They had a couple of players of the week. They had Cow of the Week, Hunter Goodman, who's been on a nice tear for the Rockies. And they also had Lawrence Butler for the Athletics. And other players of the week, Rudy had Pete Alonso for my Mets. Daddy's had Ketel Marte. And Jack Flaherty for Capital Knockers. Paul Skeens for wait till next year. Another good pitching week for them. And Kenley Jansen for the Cows, who didn't have a good pitching week, but Kenley was the R pal. So predicted top four. It's the same four teams as last week. Let's Play and Cows switched places. The Let's Play is predicted for first now. Gives you an indication how wimpy the model is, right? Because Let's Play also moved into first place in the official standings too. So I guess it's no, not very revolutionary. A little conservative, right? And Wait is predicted for second, Cows third, and Satch fourth. And our weekend warriors, Knockers and Hack gained 2 games after Thursday, and the Holy Cows lost 3, and they went 0-6, and they got kicked out of first. So let's take a look at the standings. So you can see how tight it is. It's amazing. This has been kind of our dream year here. We've got Let's Plays on top by just a game over Wait Till Next Year. Went 4-2. Bizzotti's a game and a half back. They went 2-3. They tied for the last 3-3 with the Gaggers. So you can either look at that as glass half full would be well, if I had one less point, then I would have gone 2-4. But you could glass half empty and say, well, if I had one more point, I would have gone 3-3 instead of 2-3. But anyways, and the Cows took the collar, and they're 2 back now. Satch is only 3 back in 5th place. 6th place is only 4.5 back. That's the Knockers. Daddies are in 7th, only 6 back. The Spear is in 8th, just 7 back. Gaggers are 8.5 back at 500. And then we've got Hack, who went 5-1, just 1 point away from the 6-0. And that would have been another example of Jeff's theory that the person that we asked to do the podcast goes 6-0 the week that they're going to do it, and then the week after they have a bad week. But Hack was only 1 point away, or well, I guess 2 points away from going 6-0, and that gave him a little separation from the bottom 3 in the standings. Bake McBride's Sombreros are tied 20 back, and then Rudy Can't Fail went 2-4, and they're only a game back of McBride's and Sombreros. And the Buddha standings, we've got wait till next year is our Buddha King. It's only a difference of a win, so it's less dramatic than we've seen in other years. And the Gaggers are the lucky laggards with about 2 wins over what they should be based on the points. You can see this number that's 29 points per extra win, above or below average. So if you get a pitcher with a negative 29, he on average he costs you a win. We look at hitting points per games played, and looks like knockers are on top at 3.01. I finally remembered to carry this out to the 100th. So breaks up a lot of the ties that we had in here. We can see daddies are 1/100th of a point behind them at 3.0. And our trailer is Hack Wilson at 2.58 hitting points per games played. And then the non-save hold pitching points per inning pitched. We know its weight is at 2.97. I think that they were at 3.0, just maybe even last week. So they dropped a little bit, but they're still far above the next closest team, which is Let's Play at 2.63. And then our trailer is Sombreros at 2.181. Gags are just 1/1000th of a non-safe hold pitching point per inning pitched above. They're at 2.182. So a very tight race at the bottom there. And the save hold points, Satch has got 200. That's the most. And Rudy's got 65. That's the least. 166 is average. So that's 100 points below average for Rudy. So that's, using this math, that's good 3 wins below. It's costing them 3 wins just from that save hold points. And we can see for the week we had I can remember Rudy was top OPS. They were at 838. And McBride's were at 579. I sent out an email to correct that. I wrote 549 on the email. I think that was a keypad mishap. I had the 4 instead of the 7. And ERA for the week, big surprise, was wait till next year, 2.60. And that ERA for the week, which is a wonderful ERA, actually brought up their season ERA from 2.56 to 2.57. So that's pretty impressive when you can have a 2.60 ERA for the week and your ERA for the year rises. Everybody else, that would be the opposite effect, obviously. And who has the highest? Platinum Sombreros has a 5.46. That's the highest in the league. And if we look at the season, that was just for the week. And if we look at the season, our top OPS is Rudy Can't Fail at 778, and our lowest is McBride's at 679. So even their 579 was a bad week, even for them, 100 points below their season total. And then for the year, we've got a 2.57 ERA for wait till next year, and the highest in the league is looks like it's Sombreros, 4.43. And then if we go to the predicted standings now, we've got Let's Play, like I said, predicted for 101 wins. That's untempered. And if we temper it based on the correlation that we're at for this part of the season, 46.3%. So just about half, just about 50% correlation. We'll be there next week. You can see, so this, it looks like a tighter grouping because, anything can happen. We're only 46% correlated right now. And this other method, based on last year's standings, the variance of all the teams last year, so using that to predict the final this year brings the top win total down to 95. So looks like Let's Play should finish somewhere between 89 and 101 wins. just a nice neighborhood. And let's see, it looks like Rudy. Rudy is predicted for last, but it's like it is right now, very tight. Only a game behind Hack and McBride's. So, all right, and this is one thing I've been doing for a while, uh, just to look at what's going on this year compared to last year at a similar number of games. So you can see home runs are up 4% from over last year at this point. Runs are down 1%. Walks are up 3%, and strikeouts are down 1%. So I had mentioned a couple weeks ago, maybe last week too, that I heard that or I saw, maybe it was on MLB, that the buffer zone for umpires that they're judged on going into this year, it had been 2 inches on either side of the strike zone, that they wouldn't be penalized for for a wrong call. And this year, that buffer zone was shrunk down to 3/4 of an inch on either side of the strike zone. So it looks like the way the umpires are responding is that they're less likely to call pitches strikes this year than they probably had buffer pitches that they wouldn't be penalized, and now they're calling fewer of those strikes at the edge of the strike zone strikes. And we're getting more walks as a result. I mean, some of this could be random variance, so we'd have to, you'd have to see by the end of the year what it'll look like. I think strikeouts were down closer to 2% before, so maybe it is creeping back up. Walks were the same, it's about 3% more than last year at this point. You can see slugging and on base are up 2%, which is strange, right? Because runs per game are down 1%. So, but we can see stolen base attempts are we had 0.94 attempts per game last year. Now it's up to 0.99, just about one. And that's up 6%. So attempts are up 6%, and the success rate's down about 1%. It's down to 77.5%. I think pre-rule change, going into 2023, the percentage was around 75%, and that first year was like up around 80%. So it's creeping back down to where it was, and I guess that could be that the pitching team is getting better at holding the runners on, or I'm not sure, or maybe they're concentrating more on holding them on, or or their move to first. I don't know, but what that would be. But 77.5% is still a good clip. So obviously, a guy that can steal bases, that he should be going. Except maybe if you've got Aaron Judge up, maybe you don't want to get caught stealing before he gets his at bat. Oh, I looked at this stuff too. I've been talking about StatCast stuff on Baseball Savant. This is for the year so far. These are the averages. So an 89.5 mile per hour exit velocity is average. So 90 and above would be above average. And launch angle, the average launch angle is 13.2%. And hard hit percentage is 40.7%. So it's good to know these averages, because you could hear somebody, well, he's got a 35% hard hit rate. You'd be like, oh, but that's actually below average. So it's good to know what these averages are. I haven't heard them talk too much about what the average would be. Like we all know roughly what the average batting average is, which is what, where is it, 244 so far this year. Average slug is 395, and the average OBP is 313. So anyway, so hard hit percentage is about 41%. So if he's got 45% hard hit percentage, that's pretty good. Now the barrel percentage is 8.6%, and that's a combination of the hard hit percentage and the launch angle. So it might be like a 20. It's whatever's optimized for hitting homers, basically. So the barrel percentage is pretty low. So when you get a guy that's got a 15% barrel rate, that's almost twice the league average. So that's good. And I guess that's about it for that. I didn't keep track of when I started the meeting, so which would have been good. But I'll just continue to try to go fast through it. And if you're still with me, that's kudos to you. All right, maybe we'll look at just the Yahoo top players. Okay. So for hitters, I'm sure you probably could get all these on your own, right? Top hitter is Aaron Judge at 331. Top pitcher is like at 296, I think. Well, that's what Otani is. The second best hitter is at 296. But anyways, I was worried this year because I changed the wins and quality starts. I upped them up to 5 and 6 from 4 and 5, or the other way around. Quality starts was 4 to 5, and wins went from 5 to 6. And I was a little concerned that maybe I overshot, but it looks like it's going to work out all right. So hopefully no point changes for next year. It's nice when we can just keep things constant, but the game has changed so much in the past, 10 years that, the use of the bullpen with the holds guys, we added holds after the pitcher's name in Cleveland, tall guy. Geez, I can't remember his name, but Miller. Anyways, but we thought it was a shame that he was getting no recognition because he wasn't getting saves. So we added the holds. And then the shift rules, and they're playing with the ball. 2019, the ball flew out, and then they scaled it back. So I wish that they would just keep things, more or less the same. But anyways, going through the top hitters, we'll just go through the top pagers. Like it's top 7 hitters: Aaron Judge for knockers, Shohei Otani for let's play, Pete Alonso for Rudy, Rafael Devers for sombreros, and then 2 in a row for the dads, Cal Raleigh and P. Crow Armstrong. And Raleigh doing this at catcher is, he's got a case for MVP, even challenging Judge, with the difference in position. Pete Crow, who, Jeff's got to be so happy with him. I mean, he's just doing fantastic, and he's a Cub. So, and it was a bad trade from the Mets. So you got three ways to enjoy that one. And then sombreros also have Kyle Tucker for the Cubbies. So he had Devers and Tucker. All right, now take a look at pitchers. I think. Here we go. There we go. All right, we look at pitchers, and wait till next year. It's got 295 from Skeens, so that's good. And Judges at like 331, I think it was. So I wanted the pitchers to be close to the hitters, but I didn't want them to outdo them, So this is working out, I don't know, just about right. You can see the ranking. Maybe there's more pitchers in this ranking than there should be. So we'll look at it at the end of the year. But in previous years, we've had pitchers really tail off. Like I think Seth Lugo last year. So we'll see what it looks like at the end. But look at this. Wait till next year. He's got the top 3 pitchers: Skeens, Fried, and Hunter Brown. Amazing staff. And then we've got their salaries in here. I don't know. But no, I guess I can't see it. And then 4th on the list is Garrett Crochet for sombreros, Logan Webb for let's play, Tarek Skubal for spear, Chris Bubich for Satch, and Robbie Ray for hack. Robbie Ray's having a nice year. Just sorted by saves, and we got our top saves guys: Robert Suarez for Satch, Carlos Estevez for the Cows, Andres Munoz for hack, Kyle Finnegan for the dads, Josh Hader for wait till next year, Jeff Hoffman, sombreros, Emilio Pagan for Pizzotti, who took over for Alexis Diaz and Cincy. And he's racked up a good amount of points. And then Kenley Jansen for the Cows. It rounds out the saves leaders anyway. It'd be nice if we had saves plus holds individually, but can't do it on Yahoo. I mean, obviously I could do it via spreadsheet. Look at catchers. This can't be right. What did I do? Um, no, it's just not sorted. Okay. So yeah, Cal Raleigh for the dads, way up on number 2, which is now Hunter Goodman for Let's Play. Wilson Contreras for Bizzotti. Who would have thought that of the two Contreras is that Wilson would be ahead of William. William's not far behind. Will Smith for the Gags. Langoliers for the Gags. Uh, William Contreras for McBride's. And then Austin Wells for Wait Till Next Year. All right. And I've been looking at the take a quick look at the ballpark factors. Okay. And they've shifted a little bit, which you'd expect. Some of these places that are hitters parks and some that are pitchers parks are getting closer. Gores is still not the top spot. I imagine they will be by the end of the year, but I guess we don't know with the A's park, Sutter Health Park. Top is Camden Yards. They brought that left field fence in, but only about halfway to, they had lengthened it out big time before 2024, and then they changed their mind and they brought it in about halfway. But it's really contributed to their park factor of 112. Sutter Health Park is at 112, based on runs, and Coors Field's at 111. We can see the Rays Park is at 101, so close to the average park runs wise. Wrigley is at 99, so I think last year it was much more pitcher friendly. So far this year, it's just a little bit below league average. We can see T-Mobile Park for the Mariners is at 26th now. It's at 94th. So they'll probably be down at the bottom by the end of the year. I mean, you don't know. And last week we noticed that sometimes the home run factor isn't a very good predictor of what the park factor is. Obviously, homers are the most damaging event, but they only make up around 20 to 25% of a ballpark factor because there's just so many more singles than there are homers. But so we see a good example of this was Dodger Stadium's at 141 for the year, and homers in there at 108 as a just a straight run factor. But all right, let's see. Maybe that's enough of that. So this is those StatCast numbers. Just look at those again real quick. So just based on quality of contact, these are the lucky hitters, and like we said, there's a real bias in the type of hitter that you see on the top of the list a lot of times. Previous weeks we've seen Stephen Kwan, Luis Ariz has been on here. I don't see him on the top 12 here, but Jacob Wilson was another contact guy. So there's some bias there. I mean, these guys aren't. Jacob Wilson's not a hard hit guy, but he's been successful. They call him, he has the biggest difference between his WOBA, his actual WOBA, and his expected WOBA. It's a difference of 0.075, 75 points on his WOBA, and xWOBA is based on the league average on base, which is 313. The expected WOBA so far this year is at 326. But I think the goal when it was set up was that these would equal. So I don't know if there's a constant that they use after the season, like they do with FIP, fielding independent pitching. But anyways, So we could see. So he's above average in both measures. So it's not like they're saying that he's not going to be good. And like Judge is on here as a lucky guy. He's got a 521 WOBA, which is just insane. That's like an on base percentage of 521. But this is weighted for total bases and things like that. His walks and his triples and homers. But even his expected is 473, which is also nuts. So he's just being a monster. TJ Friedel is on the list here. Alex Bregman, Matt Mervis for the Marlins, and I don't even know if I think he's done. Right? I think he got released. Baven Smith for the Diamondbacks. Jeremy Pena for the Astros. Adam Frazier, Jake Cronenworth, Jose Ramirez, and Trey Turner. That's the top 12 there. And we go the other way. These guys are unlucky. Andrew Vaughn is unlucky enough that he's actually in the minors now. His expected WOBA was above average, not or well, no, 326, so it was like slightly below average, but his WOBA was 233, which is really bad. It's the same scale as an on base percentage. So they're trying, so if you got a guy with a 233 on base percentage, that's horrible. And WOBA that's even more horrible because this is 13 points difference from the ex WOBA to the WOBA this year so far. But Juan Soto has been unlucky, and he's really starting to come around. I don't think too many people were too worried about him. Salvador Perez, Luis Rengifo, Corey Seager, Jack Peterson. So he is a 243 WOBA and a 312 expected, so close to average. It's not like he's done well, but he's deserves better than he's done. Mike Trout is on here, so Trout can stay healthy. He's still going to be a productive player. Dylan Cruz, Brian Reynolds, Luis Garcia, Yainer Diaz, and Nolan Jones. Those are the rest of the unlucky hitters based on StatCast numbers. And then we'll do the same thing for pitchers, compare their actual ERA to their expected. It's funny, the expected ERA of all the ERA estimators it's not the best one. I think Sierra and maybe what they're doing now with Pitching Plus, which combines Stuff Plus and Location Plus, those seem like they're more predictive. But this is the one that they use with the StatCast thing here on this is the Baseball Savant website. If you guys go on there, it's definitely worth a look. Lots of interesting stuff. So let's see. Maybe we up this a little bit so we get rid of these relievers. Yeah, I think we'll go a little higher on the minimum. Let's do that. Let's try a 150 balls in play as the minimum and see what that brings us. All right. So the luckiest pitcher with at least 150 balls in play this year is Randy Vasquez, according to his StatCast numbers. And like I always say, the caveat, it's take it with a grain of salt. It doesn't mean that it's necessarily true, but it's just an indicator. Davis Martin for the Sox. I'll just read off the list of guys. These guys are guys whose expected ERAs are higher than their actual ERA. Nate Eovaldi, Seth Lugo, Eric Fetty, Kodai Senga, Yusei Kikuchi, Tyler Mahle, Max Fried, Andrew Heaney, Brandon Pfaadt, Chris Bubich, Tomoyuki Sugano, Luis Castillo, and Sean Burke. That's 15. So you probably noticed that there's 3 Japanese pitchers on here. So there could be some bias with the StatCast numbers. These guys, I don't know what the explanation would be, but there might be something there. Just like with the contact hitters, how they seem to be, they don't look good in StatCast eyes. Looks like maybe the Japanese pitchers are not looking so good in the StatCast eyes either. Just something to keep in mind. And then the other side, these are guys that you can expect probably better things from. Number one on the list is Sandy Alcantara, 7.89 actual ERA and a 4.96 expected. So that's almost a 3-run difference. So, but that 4.96 isn't good either. But he seems like he might be coming around. Might have just taken him a while to get his command back. I'm not exactly sure, but seems like he's on a better trend. If he hopefully for his sake he'll pitch well enough that he'll get traded to a contender, which they may or may not do. I don't know when he's up for free agency. I don't think it's next year, so they could wait. All right, and the other pitchers on the unlucky list are Jordan Hicks, Eduardo Rodriguez, Trevor Williams, Charlie Morton. So Morton is back in the rotation for the Orioles. 6.59 ERA actual and a 4.64 expected. They'd probably take something close to that 4.64 for the rest of the year, just to give them innings, and an ERA of 4.5 would probably, maybe they'd like it a little lower, but and they probably gave up on Gibson too soon too. I mean, he was on this list. I guess he's not. I don't think he has the minimum balls in play now that I changed it. But all right, so that was the top 5, and then here's from 6 down: Herman Marquez, Will Warren, Taj Bradley, Kyle Hendricks, Ben Brown, Dylan Cease, Osvaldo Bido, Zach Gallen, JP Sears, and Jesus Luzardo. So these are like Cease's ERA is 4.72 for the year, and his expected is 3.66. So that's a run difference, and he'll probably do a lot better going forward. And even though I traded him, but I did know that going in, so that's okay. Ben Brown for the Cubs, 5.37 actual and a 4.23 expected. So probably better things ahead for him too, for the Cubbies. Jesus Luzardo. He had 2 starts in a row where he allowed 10 runs, right? 20 earned runs and 2 starts. And I think before then it was like, I don't know, 17 earned runs and 11 starts. I can't remember the numbers, but I heard that somewhere. All right. So I guess the last thing I have queued up is something with the StatCast numbers, but I did it with the spreadsheet. So just take a look at this. Hopefully it's interesting. Okay. All right, so this is looking at exit velocity, launch angle, hard hit percentage, and barrel percentage. Let's look at exit velocity first. So the top of the page above the line is the players with the most exit velocity above the average multiplied by their balls in play. So the average for the league is 89.5 miles per hour. Shohei Ohtani's average exit velocity is 95.8. So his average exit velocity is considered a hard hit. So Judge is in the same boat, because I think it's 95 and above is considered hard hit. So his average hit is a hard hit, so it's pretty nice. So I wanted to multiply it by the events, because then if we had a guy that had 3 balls in play, he won't be on this list. So the top exit velocity guys so far in baseball are pretty, these names are going to seem like they, no surprises, right? Shohei Ohtani, Aaron Judge, Pete Alonso, O'Neill Cruz, the Pirates, Rafael Devers, Juan Soto, Matt Olson, Fernando Tatis, and Vlad Guerrero. That's the top 9. And then I put the bottom 8 on here so we can see Luis Arias has the lowest average exit velocity, 85. Altuve's just above him at 85.1. And then the other bottom 8 multiplied by their balls in play is Wilmer Flores, Adam Frazier, Sal Frelick, Jacob Wilson, Joey Ortiz, and Chandler Simpson, who the Rays sent back down, even though he would have stolen 50 bases if he had stayed up. But they just think he needs to work on his hit tool, I think, a little bit. All right, launch angle. This is one to be careful with, right? Because if a guy popped the ball up every time, he'd have a high launch angle. So it's not like the high launch angle is necessarily good, at least an average launch angle anyway. Um, but generally, these guys seem like they're decent hitters, and the ones that are the bottom don't. But I guess I spoke too soon. But so Pete Crow Armstrong is the highest launch angle above the average, multiplied by his events, which is balls in play. So I'll just read off the top names. So Pete Crow, these are high launch angle guys. Miguel Vargas for the White Sox, Wilyer Abreu, Cal Raleigh, Eugenio Suarez, Jose Ramirez, Michael Massey, Spencer Torkelson, and Kerry Carpenter. Those are the guys that are high launch angle guys. Now here's the low launch angle guys. Christian Yelich, Luis Rengifo, Jose Iglesias, Yandy Diaz. And that's been a problem of Yandy's for a while. He makes good contact, but he's hitting grounders. I think the one year, a couple years ago, he had he improved his launch angle to much closer to league average, and he had a really good year. So that still seems like something that he could correct. It might it might just click at some point this year, and then he'll be looking good. Alec Bohm is on here, low launch angle guy, so he's a guy that could tap into more power if he got a little more launch. Jacob Young for the Nationals, Michael Harris, who's doing terrible, and this is probably one of the reasons. And William Contreras, that's a surprise. So his power numbers could really improve if his launch angle improves, because I don't think it was like this last year. And so this is over here is the launch angle above average. So it's this is degrees, I guess, right? So it's kind of confusing, right? This is the total number of degrees above average that Pete Crow's been. The difference between his launch angle and the league average multiplied by his balls in play. All right, we'll go on to barrel percentage because that's a little easier because it's just a percent. And the highest barrel percentage guys. Now, barrel percentage combines hard hit rate and launch angle. An optimum launch angle, which is like I think in the low 20s for homers, and of course hitting the ball hard. Almost all home runs are hard hit. Not all of them, but it's like 97% or something like that. So the top names are going to be not too many surprises probably. Aaron Judge, Cal Raleigh, Pete Alonso, Shohei Ohtani, O'Neill Cruz, Matt Olson. These are same names we had on the hard hit list, right? Seiya Suzuki, James Wood, and Riley Green. That's the top 9. In the bottom 8, that's just how many I could fit on this page comfortably. So the bottom 8 are Luis Ariz, Stephen Kwan, Nico Horner, Xavier Edwards, Santiago Espinal for the Reds, Jacob Wilson, TJ Friedel, and Adam Frazier. Those are your bottom barrel percent guys. So the way these guys are hitting the ball, they're not going to hit homers, according to Statcast. All right, and the last one is hard hit percentage. I probably should have had this before barrel percentage, but this is just the way they sorted it in Fangraphs, so I just left it. But because barrel percentage incorporates hard hit percentage in it, so these are just hard hit percentage guys. It's a little different from exit velocity. It's going to be a lot of overlap, but this stat won't care how softly you hit the ball in the balls in play that aren't hard hit, which exit velocity would count all of the balls in play. This one is just your percentage of balls in play that are considered hard hit, which I think is 95 miles an hour and above. But so the same names: Shohei Ohtani, James Wood, Kyle Schwarber is on here, Rafael Devers, Aaron Judge, Pete Alonso, Matt Olson, Yandy Diaz, and Juan Soto. So you can see Yandy hits the ball hard, right? But he's not getting enough launch, and he's not having as good a year. So he's got to, like I said, that's been an issue for him before. It just seems weird. Like once you figure that he got it figured out, then you would expect he would be able to maintain it, but he hasn't been able to. And then the bottom 8 hitters for hard hit percentage: Luis Ariz, Stephen Kwan, Adam Frazier, Jacob Wilson, Nico Horner, Wilmer Flores, Chandler Simpson, and Ozzy Albies. Albies is not having a good year either. So he's not hitting the ball hard. Well, hopefully I didn't read the names off too fast, but I don't know. I guess that's really all I have. So this will be a real quick podcast. I can't think of anything more to go into. So maybe I'll just wrap it up. So next week, I actually don't know who we're going to have on next week. Bob, if he can do it. And I think the following week is going to be Chad. And then we'll be back. John Kimler is working Monday nights now. So until that changes, he won't be available to do the podcast. And of course, Dave Steiger isn't able to do it because the time that's going to work for us is going to be like 4 a.m. for him or something like that. So it's just, so anyways, I'll just stop it now and good luck this week. Hope this wasn't too boring, but like I said, the advantage was that you knew it was going to be a short one, so that's good. All right, well, good luck, beer leaguers, and it's definitely shaping up to be an exciting year because you can't really predict who's going to win, so it's good. All right, and if I can figure out how to stop the recording quickly, I'll do that right now. Where the heck is it? There we go. All right. Take care.